Welcome in. How are you guys? I'm Farzin Vasugian. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all having a great week. And yes, we are live here back at it for another episode of the Chief Zone podcast, doing another game breakdown. Yeah, another game breakdown. We're still. It hasn't hit me yet that the NFL season has started, but we're here. We're here, and I'm loving it. I'm happy the season is fully underway. Hey, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Yes, this is our first time doing a live stream on Instagram. So I'm going to give this a try just to kind of see how things go from there. Hopefully you guys like it. Hopefully it's cool, all that good stuff. And if you guys like this, hopefully we can do more of these. Yeah, man, Instagram is definitely we got more viewers on Instagram than we do on Facebook and on YouTube. Shout outs to Instagram. We should have started this a lot sooner. But hey, we do have the capability of doing this live on Instagram as well. So for those of you who are watching on Instagram for the very first time, hello, welcome in. This is the Chief Zone podcast. I'm excited for you guys to be tuning in. We do this live every Wednesdays doing our game previews, and also we'll be doing this on game day as well. So yeah, we'll be doing a Red Friday live chat as well. We'll do that live on Instagram as well. So make sure you guys are following along and all of that good stuff, man. You guys are already bringing it with the comments on Instagram. Okay, man. Okay, I see you, Instagram. I see you guys. Okay. Anna gave me one of these emojis here. Okay, I love it. Great. A lot of you guys talking about the Chiefs, how they're going to do. Okay, good deal. I appreciate all of you guys joining me tonight. Yeah, we got a lot of things to get into here tonight. Obviously going to break down the game between the Chiefs and the Bengals. I'll give you guys my prediction on that. Will we see Hollywood Brown? I've already seen a couple of you guys ask about that. We'll touch on that tonight, and I'll give you my prediction if I think that Hollywood will play in this game. Another key player who people are kind of keeping an eye on, seeing if they'll play, is T. Higgins for the Cincinnati Bengals. Who, man, they are in disarray. I've never seen a team receive so much flack for their week one performance. I really have not. And that's something we got to get into here. All of that, much more here on this episode of the Chief Zone podcast. Thank you guys for joining me. If you guys ever miss any part of this podcast, you can always subscribe to the podcast on Apple and Spotify. Just search the Chief Zone. We also archive them on Facebook and YouTube. I'm not quite sure how it's going to work on Instagram, if it gets archived or how that works on there. But we will see. I was not at the game, Jason. No, but that is pretty cool that you went there. Obviously, you had a damn good. I talked to a couple of people who I know that were at the game. Someone by the name of Chiefsaholic 15 is watching. I don't think it's the Chiefsaholic, but I like the name nonetheless. I respect that. I talked to a few people who were at the game, and I was just like, that last play right there, that had to just suck the life out of Arrowhead. And then you saw the replay and you were like, oh, okay, no, we're good. We are good. We're winning this game. We are winning this game. Listen, before we move any further, I just want to acknowledge that today is 9/11. Today is September the 11th. I'm sure, when a lot of people think of this day, a lot of people think about where they were, how they found out about the news. I think a lot of people who are in the same age range as me in the 30s, a lot of you guys were probably in school when this happened. So you guys have that recollection of being informed through a teacher. So I still remember any students that came in early had to just hang out in the gymnasium and just chill there. And I still remember the classmate who told me this. Somebody informed me about a plane crashing into a tall building in New York City. I'm like, that's just unrealistic. Like, what do you mean? So we went to all of our classrooms, and then they brought us all back to the gymnasium, and it's our principal who's informing us on all of this. And I'll never forget, I was in 5th grade at the time, but there's a kindergartner all the way in the front row raising their hand, just asking, why would someone do something like this? And it's like, here's a principal that's having to answer that kind of question. Her response ended up being, I have no idea. Like, we don't know why. We don't know why that's happening. So I'm sure a lot of people have that kind of memory where they were in school, just heard about that kind of thing. And it's definitely one of the darkest in history for sure. So I just wanted to kind of start off just kind of acknowledging that prayers to first responders, everyone there. I'll actually never forget, I had a teacher in 5th grade. She actually had a friend that was on his way to work running late to the World Trade Center. So fortunately for him, he wasn't, nothing happened to him, but there were a lot of people, unfortunately, who lost their lives that day. Mark, gosh, what's his name? Who's the creator of Family Guy, who does like the voice of like, so it's Seth MacFarlane. I almost said Mark Wahlberg. I have no idea why. But Seth MacFarlane did he's done several interviews just explaining where he was and how he actually overslept and missed his flight, one of the planes that crashed into the Twin Towers. So a lot of interesting stories. And of course, what happened in Arlington at the Pentagon, those as well. So prayers to everyone impacted by all the actions that happened on that day. All right. Let's switch gears here and talk about the Chiefs. Now, a lot of you guys probably have Brittany Mahomes and Taylor Swift and all the political mishaps on your mind. Let's just go ahead and jump right over that. Let's talk football today. I've already posted about that stuff on social media. I only posted about it once because I'm kind of at a point where I just do not care about any of that stuff. Let's talk about some football. Let's talk about the Chiefs and just kind of how they're feeling coming off that game. Chiefs scored 27 points, one in a nail biter by a toenail, and they're 1-0 to start the season. Obviously, the opposite of what happened last year. Yeah, there were some drops in this game, but the Chiefs found a way to overcome that and still come through. And boy, that Xavier Worthy addition certainly looked good. He did his press conference today, just feeling pretty good about his start to the season. So that is certainly good to see. And I think when you look at what the Chiefs are, doing right now, they've got a new mindset, a new attitude with the receiving room right now. I mean, you look at some of the guys who they had on the team last year, guys like Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Kadarius Toney, guys who were kind of the culprits when it came to the drop issues. They were not the only ones, for sure. A couple of those guys that, had an impact and all of that, they're still on the team as well. So, when you look at that situation there, you get rid of the guys that were a liability for your offense, and you bring in some new faces. You bring in Xavier Worthy, who somehow fell to your lap late in the first round, trading up to get him. You go out there and sign Hollywood Brown, which, we haven't seen him yet, and we'll get into his situation later, as we don't know for sure if he's going to play or not on Sunday, but there are some reports on that right now. But then you look at Rashee Rice. This guy looked like a number one receiver, played like a grown-ass man against the Baltimore Ravens defense, and on those quick slants right there. On one of them, Mahomes and Rice did not connect, but for the most part, man, they did pretty damn good against that Ravens defense, and that was pretty fun to watch. So you had Rashee Rice do his thing. Noah Gray, a backup tight end who signed his extension on the same day, he came up and made a couple of big plays. Not bad for a backup tight end. He was the best tight end for the Chiefs in that game. Travis Kelce obviously had a very quiet day by his standard. Very similar stat line to Noah Gray, but in general, just under performance for Travis Kelce, but still came through on that big third down play where Mahomes was running around the pocket and found Kelce wide open. So he still had an impact in that game. And then, of course, Xavier Worthy with his 2 touchdowns, a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown where he was wide open. And I think, what happened with the quarterback for the Ravens that lost sight of Xavier Worthy, well, it's not necessarily that he lost sight. It's that he felt like he had some safety help because he was keeping an eye on Isaiah Pacheco, and nobody took responsibility for covering Xavier Worthy, so he was wide open the way he was. We talked about this in the offseason. Look at what the Chiefs have just on paper. Let's rewind a bit and talk about the discussions we had about this wide receiver room. Travis Kelce, your all-star tight end right there. Then you have Hollywood Brown, who's yet to play a regular season game for the Chiefs. He's only played 1 snap, unfortunately. That was in the preseason. Then you have Rashee Rice. Then you have Xavier Worthy. You have Isaiah Pacheco, who you've got to worry about. Noah Gray, who can step up and make some plays and can get open as well. I mean, you've got a lot of players that you got to account for on this Chiefs offense. This is not the Chiefs offense of last year where you can kind of just stack the box and not really take the receivers very seriously, because nobody took the receivers seriously last year for the Chiefs. Nobody did. And when Patrick Mahomes was in need of help, he did not have a lot of guys to go to. Travis Kelce, one of the more reliable guys, but it was kind of difficult for him at times, especially with everything he was dealing with, multiple injuries last year. But now the pressure is off Travis Kelce. And I don't know, like Travis Kelce had a quiet game. How often are we going to see that from Travis Kelce? Maybe in this game, it's going to be the inverse where Travis Kelce has a big game and Rashee Rice has the quiet game because Rashee Rice is going to be attracting a lot of attention from that Bengals defense, which we'll get into later on. That's where do you guys get the situation right now the Chiefs are in with their receivers and Hollywood Brown's not playing yet. This is a Chiefs offense that has a lot of more options. Patrick Mahomes, I mean, I don't want to say Patrick Mahomes looked comfortable because there were times where he was kind of dazed and rattled a bit. And listen, this is a Chiefs offense that's, trying to get things together. You got a lot of new faces, a new concept that you're trying to put on the field. But you still came away with 27 points and a big win over the AFC runner-ups. They've lost to you 2 games in a row now, the AFC Championship game and week 1. So when you look at all of these things right now with the Chiefs and what they're doing, there's a lot of creativity that you can come up with. And Daniel's asking this right now on the YouTube channel. Do you think Andy Reid will use trick plays or reverses with worthy speed to get him more than 3 targets than he had last week's game? And by the way, a little slight correction on there, Daniel, and I get what you're trying to say. I think he meant 3 touches, not 3 targets. Or did he? Maybe he had a 3rd target, and I just don't have that in front of me. But he had 3 touches total. I just want to double check on that, too, to make sure I'm in line with what Daniel's comments is. But I think in general, what Daniel's trying to say is if there's a plan to try to get more touches for Xavier Worthy, because he only had 3 last week, 2 of them receiving, and then one of them was a handoff where he scored on that play, did not even get touched. Let me just see. How many times was he targeted? He was targeted 3 times. Okay, so you stand corrected there, Daniel. But yeah, and I'll be honest, I don't even recall the incompletion to Worthy, but 2 catches, 47 yards, one of them a touchdown. He also got a run for a touchdown as well. What was it, a 20-yard run? 21-yard run. So this is a Chiefs team that, and I kind of wondered this before because I do think the Chiefs have the personnel to pull this off. We did not see this in week 1. Maybe we see it in week 2. Maybe we see it in another game later this year. Could the Chiefs bring back the Wildcat? I really do think the Chiefs have the personnel to pull off the Wildcat. With what you have at running back and fullback with Pacheco, P. Ryan, Carson Steele, and then the speedsters that you have, McCole Hardman, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown. Rice not necessarily known for his speed, but damn, dude, he looked much faster last Thursday than he did in any game I saw him play last year. So you have all of these options right now. And I think with Patrick Mahomes, man, it's like, if you can, and by the way, the Chiefs were what, 3rd in total passing last week? So they're off to a very solid start. I still remember last year when a lot of people were talking about how, a lot of offenses weren't doing well. Well, the Chiefs offense wasn't doing as well either, especially by their standard. But they still found a way to pull through when they needed to the most. Wasn't pretty. It was ugly, as a matter of fact. But they found a way to pull through when they needed to the most, especially in the postseason. Travis Kelce went off in the playoffs. Not his best postseason, but one of his better postseason performances that he's had of his career. Jason's asking, when is the hat Andy Reid has been wearing on the sidelines releasing? Could not tell you. If you go to NFL Shop, you whatever they wear is definitely going to be available on NFLshop.com. So go to the Chiefs website, check out their apparel store, or go to the NFL Shop website. You should be able to see that on there. I would be surprised if it is not on there. Jim is saying, I hope Hollywood Brown can play on Sunday. Let's address that comment right now, because if you look at the injury report for this upcoming week, Hollywood Brown, let's go back to Monday for a moment. Andy Reid did say that Hollywood Brown is getting close and that he is on his way to being able to come back and make his debut for the Chiefs. Well, as you guys can see on the top of your screen here, and I have the injury report up for those of you who are listening to the audio version of the podcast. On the Chiefs injury report, Nick Bolton, Mike Dana, Najee Johnson, Derek Noddy, and Mike Pennell are all on the injury report, but they were all full participants, in Wednesday's practice, whereas Hollywood Brown was the only Chiefs player who did not practice. So he did not practice on Wednesday, but Andy Reid continued to echo what he said on Monday, and that he is getting closer to coming back. And by the way, he did not rule out the possibility that Hollywood could play on Sunday. My prediction, I know a lot of you guys don't want to hear this. I don't even want to say this. I don't think Hollywood's going to play on Sunday. Not because they're going to take the Bengals defense lightly, which is a disaster that we'll get into shortly. But I think it's more so because when you look at Hollywood Brown, he suffered his injury, a month ago, give or take a few days. I don't think the Chiefs want to throw this guy out there who has not practiced in a month. Let's say he practices Thursday and Friday, even if it's just limited. I don't think the Chiefs would feel comfortable putting him out there with very limited practice. And maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I'm wrong on this. But I have a feeling they don't want to throw him into the fire with very limited practice reps within the last month, which would obviously be just the next couple of days, being Thursday and Friday ahead of the game on Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals. Not that the Bengals defense you got to prepare much for them, but I still think the Chiefs would like to have Hollywood Brown at 100% and have a good grasp of the offense if they want to make sure they're getting the best out of him. Because, if you're going to have him out there, you want him to be able to come through. And again, what were we just talking about? Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce. Not all of those guys can have 100 yards receiving in a game, and that's okay. Listen, I said this in the offseason, but I'll say it again. As much as we love Travis Kelce and all the stats that he's compiled over the years in his career, I don't need Travis Kelce to get 1,000 receiving yards because you have so many weapons here. If, let's just say hypothetically, all four of these guys had like 800, 900 receiving yards each, all of them, being short of the 1,000-yard mark, that would be a success in my book. You're getting everyone involved. Now, I don't think that's going to be how it pans out. I think you'll get one, maybe two guys with 1,000 receiving yards. I think Kelce will eventually get there. I think one of the wide receivers will get 1,000 receiving yards. If you asked me before the season, I would have said Hollywood Brown. Right now, I would probably lean more towards Rashee Rice, which is kind of easier to say because he got off to a very good start, and Hollywood Brown has yet to play. But I think at the end of the day, this is a team right now that has far more options, even without Hollywood for now. And once he comes back, good luck. Good luck to all the defenses out there, because this is not going to be a team that's going to be very easy to stop. No way. Unless the Chiefs are going to lose some games here. I don't expect them to go undefeated. So whenever a team is able to get a win on the Chiefs and be able to slow down their offense, which is going to happen in a couple of games, props to that team, because it will not be easy to do this season. If you guys saw on the Cincinnati Bengals injury report, T. Higgins did not practice, still dealing with that hamstring injury, which kind of came out of nowhere last week. People are wondering, is he just kind of looking out for himself with the whole contract situation, playing under the franchise tag? Maybe not. I don't know. B.J. Hill was a limited participant, their defensive tackle there. Tanner Hudson, the guy who fumbled at the 1-yard line against the Patriots, he did not practice, dealing with a knee injury. Chris Jenkins didn't practice either, another one of their interior defensive linemen. Guys who were limited in practice, I mentioned B.J. Hill, also Amarius Mims, who they drafted in the first round, their right tackle, who is expected to be able to take that spot back from Trent Brown, their right tackle, whenever Mims is cleared and ready to play. Logan Wilson, their linebacker, did not practice due to a knee injury. Joe Burrow's on the injury report with a right wrist injury. He was a full participant in practice, though. Let's get into the Bengals here. Let me start with their offense, because they looked bad. They had the high. What was it? It was I think it was the line was at 9 points. That was the biggest line differential of any week 1 game, and the Bengals looked awful. The Patriots did not look great either, and I think that just makes the loss on the Bengals a lot more worse, in my opinion. That offense did not look good. And what is that FS1 show with Chase Daniel? Help me out here. Okay, it's called The Facility. Who are the co-hosts for The Facility? It's Chase Daniel, LaShawn McCoy, Acho. Who's the fourth guy? There's a fourth guy on there that I just don't have his name in front of me. Acho, Daniel, LaShawn McCoy, and then there's a fourth guy. I can't recall the fourth guy. I don't know if you guys know who I'm talking about, or if you guys can help me recall his name. Or maybe you guys don't know his name. But I kind of want to make a point here because he had a really powerful opinion about Joe Burrow. Because if you guys watch the game on Sunday between the Patriots and the Bengals, Joe Burrow did not look like himself. James Jones, thank you. That's his name, James Jones. I'll get to what James Jones said in a moment, but man, that was really difficult to watch if you're a Bengals fan because the Bengals looked lost in that game. They had no idea. It's almost like they were completely unprepared. And by the way, you can't lean on, oh, it's week 1. We always start slow. No, this was the freaking Patriots. This is like, I honestly don't know how many games the Patriots are going to win. They probably have a lot of confidence right now because they beat a football team that's supposed to be really good, but they had this team did not look like they wanted to play football. And again, the Patriots only scored 16 points. Only 16 points. They only got 2 field goals in the second half. Because I've had people tell me, oh, the Patriots played an excellent game. No, they actually didn't. I thought Jacoby Brissett did a good job of managing the speed and the tempo of the game. He was not very good. His, total yardage in this game was quite bad, in fact. But what they did in this game, they just wanted to control the game. That's what they did, and they won. The Bengals offense, they started 3 and out in their first 3 drives, and when they finally got a first down, 19 and a half minutes into the game, they finally got going. That is where, Gesicki drops the touchdown in the corner of the end zone. Kind of a tough play coming down, but still you got to pull that in. And then you have Hudson, who fumbles on his way to the end zone. It's like, you can't be doing those things. They only had 2 turnovers. One of them was on a punt return. But Zach Taylor said it was 3. The turnover on downs, it essentially feels like a turnover. So by coach speak, they had 3 turnovers in that game. Listen to this stat line for Joe Burrow: 21 of 29 passing. 21 of 29 passing. That's it's not a bad stat line. That's pretty good. Except he only threw for 164 yards in this game. Zach Moss, their new running back, he ran 44 yards off 9 carries. That's actually not bad. You're averaging almost 5 yards a carry. Except the guy you let walk, Joe Mixon, just won AFC Offensive Player of the Week after he ran all over the Indianapolis Colts. Jamar Chase only had 62 yards in this game off 6 receptions. All 6 passes thrown his way were caught. But man, all he had was 6 receptions. And then Joe Burrow was asked about the the Patriots defense and how he was unable to get a deep pass going with them. Because what was the longest play? 28 yards for the Bengals? Yeah, 28 yards in this game for the Bengals. That is the longest play they had in this game. And Joe Burrow made a comment saying, well, we took what they were giving us. You're Joe freaking Burrow. And there are a lot of people in Cincinnati that are kind of concerned about the wrist injury right now. Him picking up a water bottle seemed like it was difficult, though he brushed that off in his press conference today, doing the stretches, the exercises on the sidelines. I don't know how much to put into all of that, but I think when you look at what the Bengals are going through right now, because I'll tell you what, I paid very close attention to Bengals fans online because they love to remind everyone Burrow's head-to-head record against Mahomes, how he started 3-0 and he's 3-1 now, and how Burrow that's a thing. Dude, I was listening to their post-game show in Cincinnati on Sunday. Their fans are not beating the Burrowhead drum. They are not talking about head-to-head records going into Arrowhead. A lot of them are actually very concerned going into Arrowhead this Sunday. Again, the national media, they have absolutely ripped apart this Bengals team for how they looked on offense. And we haven't even talked about the defense yet. But you cannot lean on, this is week 1, this is week 2. No, you just looked like garbage against the Patriots of all teams. This is not the Belichick run Patriots. This is not the Brady-led QB Patriots. This is the Patriots team that drafted Drake May, number 3 overall, and they started a journeyman at quarterback, and he outplayed Joe Burrow in this game. Okay, Joe Burrow maybe had a few more yards than him, but that's it. I mean, you can't really say much about the Cincinnati Bengals in this offense. They look pathetic in this game. And James Jones on FS1 made a very interesting comment here. And I kind of want to circle this back to Patrick Mahomes here. James Jones made a comment saying that without top-tier receivers, Joe Burrow is an average quarterback. Where's the lie on that? I know he's dealing with a worse injury right now, but you're playing. You're playing right now. If you're on the field, man, you can't give me excuses about not feeling 100%. Because Bengals fans did this last year. Whenever the Bengals started 0-2, oh, we always start slow. Burrow's coming back from a hamstring injury. Well, you guys also told me that he was going to be just fine. And then when they won, oh, no, he's okay. There's no injury. He's fully recovered. And then they went back to losing again. And all of a sudden, the injury excuses came up. And then he got injured with his wrist later on. He was 5-5 last year. James Jones said that this guy is an average quarterback without top-tier receivers. The only top-tier receiver you have right now is Jamar Chase, who's a phenomenal receiver. But whenever there's no T. Higgins, it is very easy to double or even triple cover Jamar Chase, and you're essentially taking away everyone. I mean, who's your next best player? Andre Yoshivash, who had 3 catches for 26 yards, 3 more thrown his direction. Tanner Hudson, well, I mean, that guy just fumbled on his way to the end zone, so that guy's not reliable. Mike Gesicki dropped a touchdown pass for you. Zach Moss is not a very reliable guy. He also had a drop in this game. This is not a very good team. And by the way, their offensive line, not looking very good. Orlando Brown was probably their best offensive lineman, who, by the way, fell on Joe Burrow in this game. Imagine that. How shocked are we? When Orlando Brown is your best offensive lineman, you have problems. You have serious problems. Ted Karras got his ass kicked in this game. Alex Kappa got worked. Oh, by the way, guess who those guys are going to be seeing a lot of in this game? A guy by the name of Christopher Jones, 3-time Super Bowl champ, arguably the best interior defensive lineman in all of football right now. That's who they're going to be dealing with. Whoever plays right tackle, whether it's Trent Brown, who looked terrible, whether it's Trent Brown or Amarius Mims, they're likely going to be facing George Karlaftis a lot in this game. Good luck with that. Mike Dan is going to be going up against Orlando Brown. And you know what? I would not be surprised if they switch it up, because they did that last year where Karlaftis was lined up against the Bengals right tackle. I think it was Jonas Taylor. I can't remember his name. I can't remember who the right tackle was. But then they switched and they put Karlaftis on Orlando Brown, and Orlando Brown George Karlaftis had his way with Orlando Brown getting to Jake Browning last year. So I'm excited to see what this Chiefs defensive front is going to do against this Bengals offensive line. By the way, let's get into the Bengals defense here, because they were awful. Ramondre Stevenson, and no disrespect to Ramondre Stevenson, that guy's not a household name at the running back position. How many of you guys were just dying to get Ramondre Stevenson on your fantasy football teams? I mean, I'm not a fantasy football guy, but I'm trying to make a point here. Nobody ever talks about this guy. This is not a guy who gets talked about ever. But he ran all over the Bengals defense with ease, averaging 5 yards a carry. Ran for 120 yards. He forced 10 missed tackles. Nobody else was able to force that many missed tackles in week 1. Stevenson just made the defense look like fools. So if Ramondre Stevenson can do that to the Bengals defense, what can Isaiah Pacheco do? The same Isaiah Pacheco who rushed for 130 yards on this Bengals defense last year, the most he's ever had in a single game in his 2-year plus 1 game career. That's how good Isaiah Pacheco looked against the Cincinnati Bengals defense last year. And this is a Bengals defense that, they don't have a lot of new faces here. This front office made very little effort to try to fix that defense. And part of it is because, they were kind of tied up with the whole T. Higgins and Jamar Chase situations. But man, I mean, this is a team that does not look very good on either side of the football. And if I'm the Chiefs, I'm feeling pretty good coming into this game. I think your defensive front, your offensive line, run blocking, that is where they got to come through the most. The Chiefs have not ran the ball 40 plus times in a game since 2020. They did it twice in 2020, once in October against the Bills, and then later that season in December against the Saints. I can't say with certainty the Chiefs are going to run 40 times, but I would not be shocked if they came very close. If I was a betting man, I would bet that they would run at least 40 times in this game. I think this is going to be one of those rare games where Andy Reid goes run heavy. Patrick Mahomes takes a little bit of a backseat. Don't get me wrong. He's still going to go out there and sling the ball to Kelsey, Rice, Worthy, and maybe Brown if he's available. But more times than not, the Chiefs are going to utilize the rushing attack in this game. I think they really want to give Carson Steele an opportunity here because this is a guy that broke a lot of tackles in the preseason. He can probably do the same exact thing against this Bengals defense that can't tackle. Remember the Chiefs defense in the Greg Robinson era where they just got embarrassed by Tiki Barber? That's what the Chiefs or the Bengals defense looked like. The Chiefs defense in the early 2000s. Think of 11 Dan Sorensens on the Bengals defense. That is the Bengals defense. That's how I would describe the Bengals defense. 11 Dan Sorensens. Aaron agrees with me. He says, I think they need to get Carson Steele involved to help spread the running load. P. Ryan, more of a pass catcher. Yeah, and by the way, let's not forget, this is going to set up the play action in this game. This is 100% going to throw off the Bengals defense. You go run heavy for a while. Okay, when we get to the second half, that's when Mahomes will choose to air it out, and that's when you can kind of pick apart this Bengals defense, which is going to be gassed and tired in the second half. So I'm very excited to see what this Chiefs team is going to do in this game. I really am. As far as the game breakdown goes, going into this game, we have Jim Nantz and Tony Romo calling this game on CBS. The Chiefs are 5-point betting favorites. It was 6 points Monday morning. That has now dropped to 5 points. Not really worried too much about that. I think there are a lot of people who are, and I mean a lot of people who are taking the Chiefs. So I think that might be why the betting line has shifted a little bit there. Wouldn't shock me if it goes back later on in the week. But man, you look at the Chiefs and everything they're doing right now. A lot of people just feel pretty confident in what they're going to do. As far as the viewing map goes, if you're in the mountain area, mountain time zone, that is, you will not get the game. Parts of Pennsylvania will also miss this one, as it will be Broncos versus Steelers. Where is that game? Is that at Denver? I think it is. Oh, shucks. I actually kind of wanted to see Russell Wilson's homecoming. I guess I'll have to wait for another time to see that. I mean, I would love to see that, but not gonna. Obviously, I'm going to be focused in on the Chiefs and Bengals game. When you look at the Bengals, their head coach Zach Taylor, he was under Sean McDermott's squad in LA with the Rams. Their offensive coordinator Dan Pitcher, he's a first-year offensive coordinator, and he's been a Bengals assistant since 2016. And oh boy, what a rough time to be a first-year offensive coordinator for this football team. 3-and-out their first 3 drives. And by the way, I didn't mention this: the Bengals, their offense went 3-and-out on the final possession they had, with the game on the line. No killer instinct, no sense of urgency, backed up in your own red zone. The Bengals went 3-and-out. That offensive series did not look like a unit that was trying to play to win, because it was a 6-point game. Obviously, you're not going to kick a field goal. You have to get a touchdown, and as long as you make the extra point, you win that football game. And the Bengals didn't even get a first down on that drive. 4 3-and-out for the Bengals in this game. Man, that offensive line right there, I'm telling you right now, Karlaftis, Jones, those guys both played great in terms of trying to get pressure on Lamar Jackson. It'd be nice to get some sacks in this one. I think they will. Burrow got dunked 3 times in this game. Would not shock me if it happens 5 times. By the way, I'm going to make a prediction right now. Trent McDuffie's going to get his first career interception. He's going to get it against Joe Burrow or Jake Browning, whoever ends up playing in this one. He's going to get his first career interception in this game. I'm calling it right now. Trent McDuffie. It's going to make it happen. As far as the rest of the Chiefs defense against this Bengals offense, again, the Bengals offensive line is not very good. So, you know what I'm expecting? Something you could not do against Lamar Jackson too much of, but I'm expecting Spags to bring this back in this game. The linebacker and slot corner blitzes. I'm expecting it in this game. The Chiefs run diamond nickel packages more than any defense in the NFL, and Spags loves to cook with those defensive backs, having them go on the blitz, having the linebackers go. I know Nick Bolton did not have the best game. Listen, I don't like to make excuses here. It is not very easy to prepare for a dual threat quarterback. It's just not easy. It's really not. So my expectation is that the Chiefs, their linebackers, and Drew Tranquil had kind of a rough going as well. I think they're going to be better in this game. But you know who really played well, and I don't think he's getting enough attention this week, is Leo Chenal. Leo Chenal was awesome last Thursday against the Ravens. That pass he batted down that should have been a touchdown, he prevented that from happening. As a matter of fact, the Ravens, right before halftime and before the end of the game, they were in the red zone, and they did not get a touchdown either time. As gassed and as tired as the Chiefs were, because the Ravens ran 24 more plays than the Chiefs, that Chiefs defense stood strong when it mattered the most. And Leo Chenal is a huge reason for that. Chenal did not allow Lamar Jackson to kind of run free on them in the red zone. Lamar Jackson had a great game running the football, but when it came to the red zone, Chiefs stood very strong. And that is a huge credit goes to Leo Chenal. Joe Burrow is obviously not Lamar Jackson, but Joe Burrow will absolutely take advantage if there's an open hole provided by the Chiefs defense. So I think Nick Bolton and Leo Chenal are two guys who are definitely going to be tabbed with the responsibility of keeping a very close eye on Joe Burrow in this football game, because he will do it. He's done it against the Chiefs before, unfortunately. But man, you gotta keep a very close eye on Burrow in this game. So hopefully the Chiefs will have their linebackers ready to do so against the Bengals this Sunday. All right, let's switch over and talk about the Bengals defense with Lou Anarumo. He's been their defensive coordinator since 2019. When you look at some of the specifics on this Bengals defense, again, 10 missed tackles against Ramondre Stevenson. And there were, 9 other incidents. And I went back and watched the game, so I counted this, so I know this for a fact, where they got juked by Ramondre Stevenson. I don't think it statistically counts as a missed tackle, but it is a juke where you make the defender not even have an opportunity to tackle you. In fact, I think Jacoby Brissett was able to escape a tackle in this game against this Bengals defense. That's how bad they were. When you look at who they have with their guys up front, guys like Sam Hubbard, BJ Hill, Sheldon Rankins, Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson is by far their best player. I mean, that is by far their best player that they've got on that defense, and he looked bad. He was able to get some pressure going around Jacoby Brissett, but whenever he went around, Jacoby Brissett would step up in the pocket, and he had a wide open lane, so he would just run whenever that hole was right there for him. You know who else can do that exact same thing? A guy by the name of Patrick Mahomes. So and by the way, you got great interior offensive linemen. Let me just remind you guys of that. So expect Trey Hendrickson to do more of that in this game, as he's likely going to be going up against Juwan Taylor, might even flip and go up against the rookie Kingsley Suamataia in this game at times. But whenever you see that happen, that is a big signal for Patrick Mahomes to step up, and hopefully his interior offensive linemen, and I think they'll come through, that is an opportunity for you to just run. As long as they don't have any linebackers spying on you, that is an easy opportunity for you to just run free and gain some easy yards just like that. QB scrambles, when there's an open lane, you can easily get a first down doing that. And I would expect Patrick Mahomes to get a couple of first downs on his own in this football game. Obviously, the big story right here with Isaiah Pacheco, that's who I'm expecting to run free. Logan Wilson obviously dealing with an injury. We'll see if he's going to be made available. Jermaine Pratt, one of their linebackers they drafted a few years ago in the 3rd round. Cam Taylor Britt, he did not look very good in this game against the Patriots. He missed a couple of tackles in this one. And some of them where they were tackling, Stevenson was just able to bulldoze his way forward against these defenders here. So there were so many issues that go even just beyond missed tackles in this one. Von Bell was not very good. Geno Stone dropped an interception in this game. Dax Hill struggled in this one as well. This you just look across the board with this Bengals defense, a lot of guys who were responsible for some struggles and especially the missed tackles in this game. So I would imagine that Isaiah Pacheco gets involved. Samaje Perine will get a few handoffs. Carson Steele will get in on the fun on this one here. And I said this before. I think Carson Steele is kind of like a Kimball Anders type of football player where he can run and catch out of the backfield and be able to make some plays there as a fullback. So I think you're going to see some of that in this football game from Carson Steele. Like I'd be shocked at all if they go run heavy. So just be ready for it. If you got Isaiah Pacheco on your fantasy team, here I am, a non-fantasy guy bringing up fantasy for a second time. Pacheco's going to have a good game. He's going to have a really, really good game. So be ready for that in this football game if you're a Chiefs fan and if you're a fantasy owner. If you have the Bengals defense, my first question would be why? Like, how do you not have another defense out there? Surely you don't have 32 teams in your league that would force you to have that in that situation. But I digress there. As far as special teams goes, their special teams coordinator, Dan Simmons, he's actually got some local ties here. He was born in Elkhart, Kansas. Also has an uncle who is from the state of Kansas, where Elkhart is all the way in southwest Kansas. He went to Dodge City Community College and then transferred to KU. He has been with the Bengals since 2003. This guy's been there a very, very, very long time. Who are some of the head coaches after Marvin Lewis? Bengals head coaching history. Who was the head coach after Marvin Lewis? Marvin Lewis was there a long time. He was 0-7 in the playoffs? Oh, it's only Zach Taylor. Wow. So Marvin Lewis was there from 03 to 18. I didn't realize that. I thought for whatever reason Lewis was let go much sooner than that. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Had no idea about that until this exact moment. I thought there was someone between Marvin Lewis and Zach Taylor, but I guess not. Yeah, so I'm definitely thinking Isaiah Pacheco. I know he was pretty quiet, like 15 carries for 45 yards last week. Yeah, that's 3 yards per carry. Pacheco averaged more than 7 yards per carry last year against the Bengals. So I'm expecting the Chiefs to utilize that rushing game more, and I think the offense will look better and not have to settle for 6 field goals this time. They can hopefully settle for more touchdowns than field goals in this game. So I'm expecting a lot from this Chiefs defense as they play the Bengals. The Bengals just looked unenthusiastic. I mean, they look what's the word I'm looking? They look lethargic. That's what they look like. They look lethargic last Sunday against the Patriots. What is your guys' score prediction? This is what I want to hear from you. I want to know your score predictions. Let me know what you think the score will be in this football game. Because I'm expecting a blowout. I really am expecting a blowout. And I don't think Hollywood Brown plays in this game. I still think you're going to run the table. And I think the Chiefs will utilize Xavier Worthy in the rushing game as well. Wouldn't be surprised if they get Rice involved too on a sweep or something. But I would guess you hand the ball off or jet sweep toss, which statistically would be a forward pass to Xavier Worthy a couple of times in this one. Would not shock me one bit. My score prediction, yeah, I'm going blowout here, you guys. Oh boy, so are you guys. Except I'm going to be going a bit higher. I'm going 45-17 Kansas City in this one. 45-17 is my score prediction. Brian says 32-17. Aaron says 31-10. Dale says 24-10. Sandra says 31-17. So a lot of you guys are also expecting a one-sided contest here. Scott's asking, what contract did Chase turn down by the Bengals? I have no idea. I don't know. I'm sure it's out there, but I just don't have it in front of me right now. Yeah, I didn't really talk about that on this podcast. The Bengals are kind of dealing with that weird thing with their contract situation. Or again, Higgins, he's playing under the franchise tag, and Jamar Chase, he held out for a very long time. And a lot of people are wondering, is Jamar Chase's unavailability in training camp, did that play a role? Because he did not practice until a week ago. He started practicing exactly a week ago for the Patriots game. Didn't practice before that. He was there. He was there for the hold-in. in team meetings, all that stuff, but man, doesn't really mean much unless you're practicing. Because we heard from Zach Taylor, yeah, his conditioning is very good. Yeah, well, he looked bad in that game. 6 catches for 40 some odd yards. That's not great. What was it? 43, I think. 44. I'm sorry, 62. Okay, still that's pretty low. That is pretty low. More score predictions here. Gay says 31-20. Scott says 28-17. Okay, good to see. Let me see on Instagram if anyone has given. Curtis says 40 plus in this one. Jordan says 31-0. Pitching a shutout. Okay, I like it. I'm certainly not opposed to that. Not one bit. Let me quickly just see how this looks on Instagram. Because I am very curious how this all looks. Oh, it actually looks really nice. Yeah, okay. Dunker says 31-14. Unfortunately, I cannot put I can't put comments from Instagram up, but yeah, that is what it looks like right there on the Instagram account. So yeah, cool. We had a lot of comments early on that one. We're trying to make this more of a thing on the Instagram side of things. So hopefully you guys join me for Instagram live streams as well, if that is your guys' thing. So whether it's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. YouTube is the easier way to watch because you can also shut off the not shut off the YouTube app, but also go on another app and do whatever you want to do. So YouTube does make it easier to watch, but a lot of you guys are on the Facebook side of things. So I appreciate how you guys are taking in the podcast, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, however you guys are watching live. And for those of you on the archive version, whether it's Apple, Spotify, wherever it is you guys download and listen to the podcast, you guys are all very much appreciated. So I appreciate all of you guys following, downloading, spreading the word about the Chiefs Zone podcast. If you guys don't mind, please make sure you guys are following the links and sharing them. That definitely helps with the algorithm and the way all of that stuff works out. That is one way to the podcast. We are at 99,000 followers. If you guys go through the Facebook page, it's easier to do on your phone. If you guys go on the Facebook page, there's a little area that allows you to invite friends to the page. Take a minute, take 60 seconds and invite some of your friends so we can go ahead and hit that 100,000 follower mark. I would really appreciate that from you guys. And then also, for those of you who are on Facebook, please subscribe to the Chiefs Zone podcast on YouTube. We've been putting a lot of video content out there lately and I'm going to continue to do more of that. So I appreciate all of you guys, the support, the kind words, all that good stuff. Downloading, listening, and following along. It's been a really fun ride, and we're gonna do it again this season. Obviously, off to a good start. Hey, reminder: Red Friday live chat this Friday, 6 p.m. Be there. Make sure you guys come in with some questions, comments, all that good stuff, because that is what the Red Friday live chat is all about. It's me responding to all of you guys, and then Sunday morning at 11 o'clock Central Time. I'll be doing the pregame live chat. I'm going to be doing it sooner because I do want to follow all of the other football action, and I'm sure you guys do as well. Then at halftime, we will be doing our halftime live stream, and then our postgame live stream. We will be doing the Chiefs Zone podcast live. That'll be on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And call-ins will be open, so you guys can click on the link to call in with your thoughts after the game. Listen, we only had a couple of callers last week. A lot of people love to call in and comment when the team loses. Let's bring the same energy, win or lose. Let's do it. So make sure you guys call in after the game because that will be made available. I'd love to see all of your faces and hear your voices calling into the post-game show on Sunday. All right, that'll do it for this episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. My name is Farzin Vasugian. Thank you all once again for joining me tonight. I am out. I'll talk to you guys on Friday for the Red Friday live chat. Peace out.